Hey YouTube, this is going to be my labor and delivery video. Just looking at the time. It's probably a part 2 series, I'm not sure. Faith is almost 2 weeks old. She'll be 2 weeks this Thursday, and she was born on a Thursday, February 18th. But the day before she was born, I had a doctor's appointment. And I was 40 weeks and 3 days. I was overdue. I did not have her on Valentine's Day or anything like that, which was my due date. So I went over 3 days, and I had my doctor's appointment that morning, and my doctor couldn't believe I was still pregnant, and I couldn't either. But I asked her that day if she would do a membrane sweep, and what that is they just go in and they kind of like break up the membranes around your cervix and the bag of waters and everything, and it kind of just helps things move along, I guess. But after she did that, I had some spotting like right after, and I had to go to the grocery afterwards. So I went to the grocery. At first she wasn't going to do the membrane sweep because she had to go out of town the next day, Thursday, to Saturday night. And she set me an induction date for that Sunday at 5 a.m. in the morning because she wanted to deliver me. But then she changed her mind. She said, "Oh, I'm sure you're really anxious, and a couple days more wait, you just don't want to wait." So she said, "I might see you tonight." And I was like, "Okay." So she said, "I'll go ahead and do it." And then I went to the grocery, as I said, and, you know, feeling fine and everything. I got home around noon, put away the groceries, you know, just did my usual thing. I thought, okay, this is going to be the night. This is going to be so awesome. I can't wait. I'm so excited. You know, I prayed about it too, to God, and just that this would be the night, that the membrane sweep was what needed to be done to kind of carry things along. So I kind of did some more cleaning around the house and stuff like that. And every time, you know, I went to the bathroom, I was, like, still spotting and stuff like that. So that was a good sign for me. I was getting excited. But around 4 o'clock, I started having some, like, cramps, like period-like cramps. No contractions or anything. Well, they were kind of like Braxton Hicks contractions. I had, like, 2 in that hour, 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock went by, nothing. 6 o'clock came, and then I started having a little bit more, the cramping got a little bit more heavier. It wasn't intense or anything. It was just like period cramps, maybe a couple times greater. And me and my husband, you know, watched a show. I cooked supper, we ate, you know, normal stuff. And my husband said, well, we better go to bed early in case tonight we have to wake up. So we went to bed around 8 o'clock. As soon as he gets in bed, he's asleep, okay? I can't. It takes me a while to go to sleep, but as soon as we laid down, I started to have mild contractions, and they were about 20 to 30 minutes apart. They would vary, sometimes 10 minutes apart, 20 minutes apart, 30 minutes apart. You know, they were out of whack. They were really irregular, and I was just glad that I was having contractions, you know, whatever. Around 9 o'clock, they were still the same, 20, 30 minutes apart. I laid in bed, you know, with them. They weren't painful just yet. They were like, you know, my stomach just tightening really hard and then releasing, like your muscles contracting. Around 10 o'clock, they were getting a little bit more intense. They were starting to become around 15 to 20 minutes apart, and they were, you know, getting regular 15 to 20 minutes right on clockwork. And I was like, oh, yes, this is it. So I went and walked up and down our hallway a little bit, and they got a little bit stronger, but they were still about 15 to 20 minutes apart. So I went and I took a shower, and the shower helped so much with the cramping because the cramps were getting really, really intense, like period-like cramps 10 times over, okay? And yeah, so the heat helped with my back and everything like that. I stayed in there for about 30 minutes. I got out. Around 11 o'clock, the contractions were getting a lot stronger. They're about 10 minutes apart now. And I got in bed, and I woke my husband up and said, we need to start timing these, like, you need to stay up with me and keep writing all this stuff down and everything. So, as I said, they're about 10 minutes apart like clockwork, and lasting like only 20 to 30 seconds each contraction. A good contraction lasts 45 to 50 seconds, you know, or 60 seconds, a minute at least. So 12 o'clock came, and they were getting even more stronger, so strong that I was wincing. You know, I wasn't screaming out or anything. I was just trying to breathe through them and get through it, and they were getting pretty intense. They were starting to become 5 minutes apart. I mean, they were just getting so regular, and they were lasting for about 45 seconds, because we have a long paper of where we recorded, you know, each of them. And 1 o'clock came, and I just said, okay, I can't do it. I mean, they were very painful, I'm not going to lie. For those of you that are getting ready to have babies, it's pretty painful, but, you know, it's worth it. It's nothing that you can't handle. God, you know, didn't give us anything we can't handle. And, you know, I got through it. And I know that, you know, women have been doing this for years. So, around 1:30, we decided to leave, because I was having contractions 3 to 4 minutes apart, lasting 50 seconds to a minute. And, you know, my doctor told me to come in at contractions between 5 to 10 minutes apart, and we waited until they were 3 to 4 minutes, and we were like, oh, wow, you know, the baby could come right now in the car, you know, that's how it was feeling. I was having a lot of pressure, but I just wanted to do most of my labor at home. You know, I was being stubborn. I wanted to do it mostly at home. And we got to the hospital. I was so anxious, so nervous, just because I was dreading the whole hospital experience. But I was, you know, happy that something was happening. We went in, we registered, they took my weight, you know, blood pressure, all that kind of stuff. They got me into a room, a labor and delivery room. Hold on, let me check my time. Okay, I have a couple more minutes on this one. I'll definitely have to make a part 2. They got me into a labor and delivery room. I sat there for a while, changed into one of those gowns, those ugly hospital gowns. Got into the bed, a nurse came in, and she introduced herself, took my vitals again, took blood pressure, temperature, you know, checked my ears, throat, stuff like that. I don't know why, but they just do that. And she then checked me, and I was only 3 centimeters dilated, with contractions 3 to 4 minutes apart, lasting a minute long. And we couldn't believe it. Me and my husband were like, I thought that I was going to be like 6 or 7 centimeters, you know. So, but I was 90% effaced. So from my doctor's visit that Wednesday, I was still 2 centimeters and 75% effaced. So I thinned out some more, and dilated one more centimeter. And gosh, I'm trying to remember, you know, everything. Hold on. I think I'm just going to go ahead and stop this and make a part 2, because whenever I get towards the end of my videos, I start losing my thought, because I'm trying to keep up with time and everything else. So, I'll make a part 2. Bye.